various time zones, my Sakonauts. I'm Sako Tumi, also known as the Witch of Tylwyth Teg, and today we're going to get into, I have decided we're going to get into Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. Now, I'm just going to say it's been a long time since I put this many post-its in a book. Like, at all. Non-fiction, fiction, whatever. Like, putting a lot of notes in here. I'm just going to enjoy my coffee and wait for people to come in. Well, I would enjoy my coffee, but it's like blindingly hot. Unless I put up a please stand by screen and go smoke a cigarette. But I don't know if I have any cigarettes. I do have some in the car. So if push comes to shove, I can go to my car and get a cigarette. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. Wish I had some music. Wait, maybe I can have music. Copyright. Free music. I feel like this is going to work in the work. is it doing? It is this. That is why. Okay. Boop. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Katerina. Glad to see you guys. Getting a little bit of a late start today. You are not late. You are not late. I am running behind. So, that all said, do we want to do a grounding ritual? Do we want to do a self-care card? Do we want to just hop into the book? What do we want to do today? Good morning. I need coffee too. And I had to go outside so that my coffee would be cool enough to drink. It's the quickest way to cool my coffee off is to go outside. My cat woke me up at like 9. I kept sleeping and 9:45 rolled around and I was like, okay, I gotta get out of bed. I'm feeling highly lazy. No, meditation should be pretty low key. But let's do a self-care card. I guess that's our card. The 3 of Pentacles. Guess we're getting back to work. I know I really want to finish this book. But 3 of Pentacles. Cups. Pentacles. Teamwork makes the dream work. The seeds of your ideas are taking root as you make the moves to grow and expand. Collaboration with like-minded souls is a must for inspired success. Everyone offers their different skills to the table, which makes the project even better. There is synergy among all of you, together working toward your common goal of creating amazing and meaningful work. Build a team with those who have talents and that would complement yours. For example, like finding an analytical person to partner with an artistic person. The yin and the yang of your combined strengths and weaknesses will allow learning and growth from each other to create a trinity effect. As the Beatles said, I get by with a little help from my friends. So it's a day for collabs. All right. So I did say it was going to be the introduction, but I wanted to go into the self-love sections. Is there any more? Ooh, they have a thing for conquering demons. Who apparently Ganesh is good at that. Are you illuminated? Okay. It is fitting for today. Considering what, at 11 something we're teaming up and doing the things. One thing that and I don't want to treat this like the book club, because book club is going to be a thing on Saturday, but one thing I'd like to point out is it talks about Eris, the Greek goddess Eris. Well, the Discordian, the Society of Discordia, whatever that means. Eris has since climbed her way from historical footnote to mythic megastar, and the Discordian movement, if such a thing can be said to exist, is growing on both sides of the Atlantic, helped by the Discordian tactic of declaring that everyone is a genuine pope. So just that line reminded me of the Buddhist concept of everyone is a bodhisattva of the earth and we're all capable of being the Buddha. I actually stumbled on a pamphlet yesterday that was basically like the clergy were basically valuing one life over another. And so SGI calls it spiritual independence. I learned it as the mass excommunication from Nichiren Shoshu. Because we believe that everybody is capable of being the Buddha. So it's really good to see that in the chaos link of Discordia that everyone is a genuine pope. Like, I think that is a very Buddhist way of looking at it. Hey, Jace, good to see you. So anyway, we are looking at Condensed Chaos, An Introduction to Chaos Magic by Phil Hine. I know yesterday we were kind of floundering for what book we were going to read. I tried Liber Null, and that was a disaster. I tried the Green Witch tome, the grimoire, and that was not great. So I think this book is an excellent step into chaos magic without being a little too top heavy. Which is great because I can agree with most of the stuff in here. I also, so nothing is true, everything is permissible. That's like basically the whole thing about chaos magic is nothing is true, everything is permissible. And so the idea is that there are no limits. However, their magic is quantifiable. It's very, there are 25 conjurations. So maybe that'll be a day where we talk about the 25 conjurations of chaos magic, which is basically the 25 conjurations of all magic, right? Doing schoolwork with a pizza demon, so I'm a lurk. No problem. Do the lurk. So I wanted to go into some of the self-love stuff here. Oh, twin glamours, wealth and fame. Yeah. Where do we start? Confidence requires a degree of self-love, which in turn requires self-awareness, particularly of your own nested desire complexes. Surface desires are often blinds thrown up by the ego to disguise something which cannot be admitted into awareness. Such conflicts eventually become the magician's nemesis. A man might sublimate his desire for young flesh by becoming a scoutmaster, a priest, or youth worker, but how long will that facade hold up? From the self-love of solar magic, we jump to the dynamics of love magic. Until you accept yourself, you will never be able to accept other people as independent beings, and so you will be continually disappointed when other people fail to act in the way that they ought to. That is like my husband in a nutshell. Like, holy crap. To be expansive to others, you have to learn how to interact with people successfully. You have to be attentive to others and aware, of course, of how they see you. What else is required? Mars, the magic of energy, drive, determination, discipline, cool-headedness, the poise of a sniper waiting for the right moment to fire. Also, thought magic, the way of planning, strategy of being able to examine a situation and working out plan A, plan B, and what I will do if things go awry. The ability to look at resources, whether they be material skills or contacts. And then there's death magic. I have a plan. It is exciting. I can see how it could go very well. But after all the planning has been done, it looks more unfeasible. Do I go ahead anyway? Or have I the strength to kill it and do something else? Death magic is also the magic of boundaries, of self-imposed limitations. Not forgetting sexual magic. In Kabbalah, sexuality is attributed to the sphere of Yasod, which is also the sphere of seduction, glamour, and illusion. Sex reminds us of our vulnerability, and we can all too easily become caught up in the desire for fast clothes, big cars, attractive partners, and four-poster beds. But if you need these things to feel sexy, then it's possible that something is going wrong. The roots of feeling attractive in self-love, and we're going back to ego magic again. Speaking of ego magic, and now Christina wants pizza. Absolutely. Mr. Turtle is lurking? Is that what you mean? Or it sums up Mr. Turtle. That whole, like, you can't be surprised when people don't act the way you want them to. The logical progression of this process is to reach the point where identity is continually being deconstructed. when a measure of fluidity of expression is attained and one is released from the necessity of having one's sense of self validated by others. Yeah, similar to my hubby. This is what Austin Osman Spare referred to when he wrote his doctrine of self-love. There is no narcissistic reflection of the glamours of the ego. Rather, it is the void of the core of an identity which is freely able to move into any desired set of social relations, without becoming trapped or identified entirely within them. As the core of the sense of self is self-love, rather than any label that encapsulates any particular set of behaviors, beliefs, and life patterns, one attains a state of great freedom of movement and expression without the need for self-definition. Self-love does not necessarily imply alienation or withdrawal from consensus reality. Modern culture is saturated with escape routes by which we are encouraged to resist the routines of reality. Drugs, sex, fantasy scripts, communal living, separatist ideologies, therapies, mindscapes, and historical or utopian romanticism, all well signposted escape routes that ultimately can be shown to be dead ends. This is especially true of revolutionary escape routes like political lifestyles or magical endeavors, quote unquote magical. They support rather than threaten paramount reality, while feeding us the illusion that we are escaping. Many of these escape routes require a change in social scripts and masks, and actually do little more than create temporary enclaves of activity within consensus reality. And consensus reality inevitably recaptures these enclaves, as seen when revolutions inevitably become fashions and trends. Magic is the great escape route. And then it goes on, right? So basically the core of it crazy. Yeah. The win is life. Oh my gosh. So it's an escape route that is not a means to an end, right? And technically speaking, it's not an escape route. It's just an escape route. So this book talks a little bit about Aleister Crowley, who and basically the run of it that I'm gathering is it's like a method of magic, right? Yeah, it's a paradigm, but it's not like a religious belief. Yeah. So let's see what the introduction talks about. Well, I'm not going to go into the Peter Carroll introduction because holy crap, it's crunchy. When did this come out? I think it came out in like 1995. Yeah, first edition 1995. It's a little dated when it comes to talking about cyberpunk magic, which I'm kind of here for. It's just touched on it so far, but I do hope it goes into something a little more specific. All right. Let's start from the beginning. The world is magical. Thanks. We might get a sense of this after climbing a mountain and looking down at the landscape below, or in the quiet satisfaction at the end of the day of one of those days when everything has gone right for us. Magic is a doorway through which we step into mystery, wildness, and imminence. Yes, some of us wear more masks than others. And from what I'm gathering, that is not a practice that's frowned upon in chaos magic. In fact, it's almost encouraged because identity is fragile, right? So you're going to have to be like a different person depending on who you're talking to and what you're talking about. But you're still you, but you've put on a mask. You've kind of sugarcoated things. Right. Like, you guys probably get the most honest version of me. But even I have a mask on, right? I'm just some lady reading books on the internet. I might have 20 years experience in magic and stuff like that. But this is new to me. So a lot of this is stuff I knew, but it goes more deep into it. And I'm really glad I'm giving this a read finally. I read more than half of it like last night, yesterday. What do we talk about that identity is fragile? Ego magic. Some chaos magic exercises emphasize being able to adopt different belief systems to change attitudes, not merely intellectually, but also in terms of emotional feelings and physical action. As in tantric practice, we embrace that which we have rejected, and by so doing, push back the boundaries of what we consider possible. To do this successfully requires great determination, as entering a different belief system requires that we enter a new field of social relations, adopt new masks, accept new self-labels, and the behaviors and emotions that accompany them. Prolonged practice in such social paradigm shifting brings home one very clear point: that identity is fragile. The sense of an individual identity emerges from a complex series of interwoven social interactions. We internalize a series of self-labels and alliances, and from these arise our experience of selfhood. We may define ourselves in terms of work, status, race, nationality, or gender preference. Often one set of social relations becomes the core of identity. The label which... Oh, that's unfortunate. The label which we fall back on to define ourselves to others as what we are. As the patterns of post-industrial society become increasingly fractal in their behavior, so identity becomes increasingly fluid, a position which implies both possibilities of freedom and a great alienation and fear. As the fluctuations of social change become greater and greater, so is there an increased tendency to desire solid connections with the historical past. Vide, or Vide, the obsessions with roots, getting back to nature, and the current vogue of cultural romanticism and invocation of traditions. All attempts to find points of anchorage, to create islands of order within the Osman sphere called the chaos of the normal. Within the social maelstrom, many seek stability with subcultures, seeking to bolster up the sense of identity by merging attitudes, emotive patterns, and behaviors. Moving within the limited expressions of a distinct social system buffers us against chaos, and we can draw strength from the sense of being part of a community with varying degrees of sense of separation from mainstream society. Case in point, right? Magicians often report a growing sense of all too easily manifest as ego-bound elitism or aloofness. How magicians deal with this experience of difference is thus a chaos in tantric paradigms. Oh, a source of great interest. Sorry. The particular important... This is... Oh, you're so funny. But I'm ching. This is particularly important within chaos and tantric paradigms, where the emphasis is on deconstructing identity rather than continually seeking to reinforce it through making stronger attachments to any one set of social relations, and thus limiting oneself to a particular range of expression and movement. Crazy, right? What? Where did I leave off? So here's the word about Aleister Crowley, right? There is no escape from the society of spectacle. To understand the chaoist approach to identity deconstruction, we might look at the example of Aleister Crowley, who has left a good deal of useful information for exploring the boundaries of identity. Crowley's life can be understood as a continual battle between himself and consensus reality, a battle to create a personal enclave for himself beyond the limits of conventional morality. Crowley sought to escape the society of spectacle by becoming himself a spectacle. He used his lovers, pupils, and writings to create a free area in which he could express the myriad facets of selves which he had uncovered by his magical living. Crowley's approach to the problem of identity was an extreme one, and part of his drive towards the extremities of experience may have come from his desire to create a new society. Like many visionaries, he saw himself as the herald of a new phase of being for all humanity. But he had students that couldn't keep up. So once upon a time ago, I used to believe, posted in the flip side for a possible witchy watch, tabletop RPG, just a casual group watch. Okay. I'm cool with that. I'll probably be reading or drawing or something at the same time, but should be good. Should be good. So once upon a time ago, I used to believe that everyone can draw. You just have to want to do it. It just takes, and Chaos Magic talks about this as far as like taking on any learning endeavor, is confidence, relaxation, and attentiveness, and discipline, right? So, and a lot of people don't want to do the discipline part. They want to be good at something fast, which life doesn't work that way. It never has, and it probably never will. We're getting awfully close with like the whole research on the internet thing, but you can get there. Everyone has the capacity of being the Buddha or being the Pope. Everyone has the capacity to be great at magic or great at art or great at music or whatever. However, if they don't put in the discipline, they're not going to get better. And some people, no matter how hard they try, it never clicks. I tutored a guy for 2 years on how to get better at art, and it never clicked. So, and it happened with Aleister Crowley too, where he had students who could not keep up. They just couldn't understand what the heck this guy was doing. Me and sewing, yeah. In order to get good at something, you got to put in your 70 hours or some shit like that before you start hitting that hump of plateau. And then after the plateau, you can like look at your stuff. Classical difference between talent and skill. Talent is formed. You're not born with it. You can be born with a what's the word I'm looking for? A affinity with that thing, but I wouldn't call it a talent. Like my art, like I kind of hit the ground running when I was a kid, right? You could tell what it was I was drawing, and I was drawing full costumes and like all of that jazz. But that doesn't mean I haven't put in the hours. You know, I've done all the exercises that are, you know, like droll and boring and had to do repeatedly, but here I am on the other side. Interesting stuff. So, did you guys ever see my video on the core principles of chaos magic? I was actually on a podcast talking about it recently, but this goes into it pretty deeply. A person who's become a master does not have both. They have discipline. They have discipline, and through discipline, they have gained. I think talent is bullshit. My sister and I were always considered talented and gifted. And there were programs for children who were smarter than the average bear. And I dare say I'm only good at the things that were presented to me when I was a kid. I said, hey, I want to learn guitar. They gave me a guitar. Hey, I want to learn how to draw. Here's some art supplies. Hey, I want to become a martial artist. Put her in martial arts classes. I think talent is bullshit. I think it's all discipline. But to each their own, right? Some are talented at sports, etc. Doesn't mean they work their asses off to get where they are, but the talent exists. So far, every artist I've ever met hates the term talent. Because it took discipline to get to where people say, oh, you have talent. I did not come by this like naturally. It took years and years and years and years of discipline and practice. And that's how I got my talent. Millions don't have family support as children or adults. Yes, I was very fortunate that my parents were very encouraging, especially regarding arts and music. And I dare say that my sister and I weren't exactly gifted. We were just we were taught to read before we got into school. We were taught. Both is good. As said, talent doesn't mean they didn't work their asses off. However, some more naturally talented than others and stuff. Think of talent as the grease for the gears, making them run smoother. You can become great without it. It's just easier with it. So, let me see if I can find the thing about learning. Is there a thing about learning in here, or am I thinking of the wrong book? Models and metaphors, self-assessment, self and other. That's a big whoop. The Twilight Zone. To learn any magical techniques and skills, requires practice, just as it does learning to read, write, or drive a car. Practice is difficult, especially nowadays when we are increasingly becoming used to the idea of instant courses, remedies, and therapies. One weekend workshop does not make you a magician. Any more than one weekend of driving a car would make you a proficient motorist. To become skilled requires time, effort, and self-discipline. When learning magical techniques, we are often going through a process of extending our everyday range of abilities, often in ways that may have occurred to us that may not have occurred to us previously. This requires a level of determination that will at times seem onerous or more effort than it's worth, and the benefits may only seem obvious in the long term. There are two elements that are worth considering when it comes to practice. The first is that we are learning new skills that will form a sound basis for further work. There is little point attempting to work entirely on the astral plane if you cannot sit still for 5 minutes or hold an image in your mind's eye without it wandering off onto another track. Practice requires discipline, and the growth of self-discipline is in itself a powerful magical ally. If nothing else, by assiduously doing something which you have promised to yourself that you will do, you are increasing your confidence in your ability to do things, and confidence is key to successful magic. The second element to consider is that in setting yourself a goal of regular practice, you are pitting yourself against what is probably your most deadly magical adversary, your own inertia. If you have a conversation with yourself that are lazy, unable to concentrate, and can never finish tasks off, then the only way to break out of that self-imposed limitation is to set yourself a regular practice and do it. You may well be surprised at your own ingenuity in trying to wriggle out from doing practice, that it'd be much better to have a lie-in, than get up and meditate, that you'll do it twice tomorrow for missing out today, but you don't possibly have the spare time. Yeah. There are some who can work hard a million hours with a paintbrush and never be as talented. That is not talent. That is discipline that has gone awry. Not even half the hours in the same discipline. But there is a natural aptitude. I don't call that talent. That's a 4-letter word in my book. But an aptitude for, like, I'm an artist, so I naturally have an aptitude for sigil work. Right? I don't have a talent in it. I have an aptitude for it. But we're getting into semantics, really. I could work a day in and day out at sports ball and not be as good as some of the little league players who are gifted talent. And that's okay. World is better with everyone having different gifts and talents. It gives balance. They say that when you hire a team, you should hire people who do things that you don't. I think that the problem comes when people give up early and don't stick with it enough to see improvement. I think we are all more talented than we give ourselves credit. We all, right? Some have more of it than others, but we all have aptitude. Hello, Spence. Did I put a thing in here? I did. Okay, great. The second element to consider is that in setting yourself a goal of regular practice, you are pitting yourself against inertia, right? If you have a conversation with yourself that you are lazy, unable to concentrate, and can never finish tasks off, then the only way to break out of that self-imposed limitation is to set yourself a regular practice and do it. You may be surprised at your own ingenuity in trying to wriggle out from practice, that it'd be much better to have a lie-in than to get up and do it. Yeah, do it twice, etc. At times, the limitations we impose upon ourselves seem to have a life of their own. People who quit, for instance, have set their own limitation. We impose upon ourselves to seem... Let me try this again. At times, the limitations we impose upon ourselves seem to have a life of their own. They resist being changed by fighting against the changes that we are trying to make in our lives. It may be that if we do not find a new task difficult and imposing on everyday life, we are not taking it seriously enough. Only when we take up something that threatens our established patterns do our limitations seek to preserve themselves. So the fact that you might be coming up with attractive excuses to keep you from practice can be taken as a good sign. But the only way you will change the pattern is to keep trying until you change it. This often requires determination, tenaciousness, and sheer bloody-mindedness, all in themselves qualities that are useful for the budding magician. Not so crunchy. We're talking about the intro to chaos magic this time. And I found sections of this book that we can probably get into that don't involve quantum physics. I also have this guy, which there are correlations between condensed chaos and some of the stuff in here. So I think this will be a good transition. I have all these books. God damn it, I want to read them. So we were talking about the difference between talent and, talented and gifted, and like skill and discipline. It's not like riding a bike, right? Drawing and writing is not like riding a bike. You gotta do the daily practice, or at least the regular practice, whatever that means, right? I write at least once a week. At least. Now, my early writing is prolific, but it's not good. I have cultivated, and through discipline and research and all of those things, I have become a better writer, right? So I don't have a natural talent for writing. I just did it. The whole thing about chaos magic is that it is a thing of doing. It is all personal experience. You can armchair theory all you want. You can read all the books that you want, all of that jazz. If you don't practice, then you're not a magician. And I'm not saying that you should all practice and become magicians. I'm just saying, like, as far as how chaos magic defines it, that's the case. Travel, talent, and privilege. Privilege comes into play, absolutely. But discipline is always essential. Yeah. Discipline and confidence and attentiveness. And there's a T in there. I thought it was earlier in the book. Okay. Is there like a... No. Not a thing in the back where you can look it up. Privilege being in general with people, not anything about you because I don't know your life. No, privilege is a thing. Absolutely. If I had any of my early writing to compare, I expect I'd say the same about my own writing. Yeah. If you put in the 80 hours or whatever the fuck it is, it's supposed to be like you need discipline to do that. Okay, I'm here for now. Still doing laundry. No problem. I need to do laundry today too. I need to do laundry real bad. Oh, we've hit an hour. Granted, I was away from the keyboard for 10 minutes. Do we want to hang out for another 10 minutes or what's up? Like, I hate when people tell me I won't succeed due to my writing every day when all last year I was more focused on not being homeless. Right. Just do it regularly. Like, again, my rant is about society. Yeah. Yeah, it's fucked, really. How much more could people accomplish not working 3 jobs? Sad, really. I'll get off my soapbox now, though. I was in charge of the boyo's schooling today. So there's this section called path working. Which I guess is what we've technically been doing all this time. Matter is my playground. I make and break without thought. Laugh and come unto me. Eris from the stupid book. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. We may come to discover that behind the masks and rules we slip on into as we move through social dynamics of paramount reality, there's only a whirling void. The chaoist, that's such a weird word, paradigm offers the freedom to be many individuals and to find a sense of freedom, not through attempts to resist paramount reality or to create a free area beyond it, but to embrace it joyfully. While the majority of the magical perspectives seek to transcend or reject paramount reality in favor of higher states of being, the chaos paradigm, sorry, I got distracted. Chaoist paradigm makes paramount reality into a playground for the phenomenizing of will and desire. By experiencing paramount reality from the basis of self-love, we begin the long and fascinating process of bringing to earth whatever shards of the future attract our gaze. By definition, this is an activity of an elite group since few have the drive, stamina, and determination to continually strip away layers of identity in favor of freedom of movement. See, and yeah. And then they go into deconditioning, which is a doozy. Deconditioning is hard. And I'm trying to figure out, so I have been conditioned in a Buddhist fashion, and there's a lot of like Buddhism that is coming through in chaos magic, right? So what am I deconditioning? Still trying to rest off my bout of vertigo, stupid barometric pressure. Yeah. School comes easy to you. I work my ass off, so I get what you mean. Yeah. When I was graduating high school and people were getting ready to go off to college, I had friends come to me and be like, oh, can you teach me to draw? Or can you teach me how to play guitar before I go to college? Because I want to be able to do something cool while I'm there. And I was like, okay, here's some basic exercises. Do them. When you get good at it, come back to me. And invariably, they gave up. They did not practice ever. And therefore, they never got started. And they gave up before they got started. Right? So, how do you know that you can't do something if you never fucking do it? Oh, I'm out of coffee. And we're at time anyway. So, if you liked this video at any point, please hit the like button. If you would like to see what else is in this book full of post-it notes, then hit subscribe and maybe even ring that bell. Oh no, you're too late. Yeah. We're wrapping up. Sounds like it didn't help that it was something they were really invested in the first place. Yeah. Oh, you fail at emotes again. Yeah. All right. And then you can ring that bell anyway. And maybe even put it on personalized on the off chance that it'll actually tell you when I go live. And I will catch you guys on the flip side.